نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We're going to continue inshallah from where we left off last time, and we're talking about regarding the minor signs of the Day of Judgment. So we haven't reached the major signs yet, we're only continuing, or we're starting off with regarding the minor signs, and we've mentioned the two different categories of minor signs, which is something which is going to happen as a one-off, which we mentioned was the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the fighting of the Sahaba, and so forth. And then we're going to go on towards the general trends, which is continuously happening, especially now as well. We find it more rife. So I mentioned regarding the fitna of wealth last time around. So amongst the minor signs of the Day of Judgment, we find that the evils will spread. So all different types of evil will spread around the dunya, and this is a continuing trend, which is still nowadays we're seeing all of this evil still trending around. So an example of this, and a few examples I'll give you, is example, you have a loss of amana. People won't trust each other anymore. So that trustworthiness is gone. And even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions in this hadith that when people stop trusting one another, just got to wait for your Qiyamah to come, because then Qiyamah is going to be very close around. The trust between Muslim brothers, the trust between one another is such where it's really damning. It's quite disheartening when we see people are not trustworthy anymore. Whether that's to do with businesses, whether that's to financially and money, where you go to a certain person and you can trust this person with a certain amana, and now you think that you can do this, and then what happens? Some cheating goes on, different intentions going on, and then they don't look after your stuff how you would want them to. So you find amana, that is just with wealth. Sometimes amana with children, or amana with family members. When I look after my family, you got amana of my property, look after my property, and then what happens? The people are not looking after the amana. They're not trustworthy anymore. I can't trust this person with money, I can't trust this person with my household, I can't trust this person with anything. So once trustworthiness is gone, then wait for Qiyamah, and this is the prediction of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we're seeing this unfortunately nowadays as well. Another one of the evils that will spread around in the minor signs of the Day of Judgment is the rise of corrupt rulers. And what more can I say with regarding this? That where we're finding ourselves seeing this with our own eyes, when we find Gaza and Palestine and what's happening at that time, in the time now, we find people, corrupt rulers, where you find no help, no movement, nothing. You just find that people are now, I think switched. What's it called? The electricity. Yeah. So you find all of these different things which is happening, which is quite it's disheartening. So when you find that corrupt rulers are there, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people are not worthy of becoming leaders, wait for Qiyamah to come. So wait for Qiyamah to come when we find that many people are not worthy of leadership. They become leaders through, whether that's through nepotism, whether that's through different means, but people are becoming leaders in a certain way, where now, because they're not even worthy, it's just, my son will become the leader, or this person will become the leader, and then what will happen is that they're not even worthy of it. And then you find the time of the Sahaba, they were such where you find people who are worthy leaders, and they said they didn't want to be leaders. They didn't want to be in that leadership group. Rather, they wanted to be in a certain position where we say, no, we will help the leaders, but we want to be leaders ourselves. But through humility and humbleness. Not everybody will say, pick me and choose me, and they're corrupt. And then this is why you find corruption spreading around. If the top is corrupt, then everything else will be corrupt as well. And this is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. You find that plenty of bloodshed and fighting. So how much times have we seen that plenty of bloodshed and fighting, and this is something which is of evil, and something which is now happening again and again and again. And even where in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you find that everyone was brothers. There wasn't much fighting between one another, amongst the Sahaba especially. But the prediction was that all of you are going to find that Muslims will be fighting Muslims, killing each other. So this will also be spread. And generally in the world you find more wars, more bloodshed, more fighting amongst human beings in general. So this is also be there as well. But now we find this evil spreading again and again. So we're seeing all of the minor signs so far. The predictions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam we're seeing in front of our own eyes. In front of our own eyes. Another evil that will spread, which is another minor sign of the Day of Judgment, is the overall killings and wars will increase. And people will kill each other for no real reason. Mass shootings. Sometimes we find mass shootings. That's never happened in the whole entire history. But now you find it in the West. You find it in America especially, where you find mass shootings happening. You find knife crime. You find gangs. You find, you have a gang, you have initiating roles. Where you find if you're going to be part of the gang, you have to go kill that person. The first person you see on the street, you have to go and stab them. You have to go and kill them. Or this person there, if they step into our area, then that's it, you have to go and kill them. People don't even know why they're killing each other. People don't even know why they're stabbing each other. People don't know why they're actually in wars. You find some people, when you go back a few years, they're thinking, why are you even in the war? Why are you even in the army? And then what happens? People realize that, I don't even know why I'm here. Even the soldiers, you find their testimonies. They say, we don't even know why we're here. Why we're going to Iraq. Why we're going to Iraq. We don't even know why we're here. The war on terror, and they mention all of these phrases and so forth. And then you find testimonies of those people who are gone to war, and they say, don't even know why we're here. We don't know why we're fighting. We don't know. And this is what you find, this more and more, and this is more happening again and again. So you find different stories and different testimonies. Imam Bukhari mentioned this hadith, his collection and compilation of hadith. He mentions the Qiyamah will not come until the qatil and the maqtul, the killer, the murderer, and the person that's being killed will not know why each other did what they did. You don't know why it's happening. They don't know why the killer has killed. He doesn't know why. I'm just killing. I don't even know why I'm killing. And the one who is killed doesn't know why he's being killed. And you find this time. You find it many times. All in the streets. That's happening on the streets. You find that people are killing each other. You don't even know why. Some people don't even realize why they're getting killed. And the people don't know why I'm killing. And this is what we've seeing in front of our own eyes nowadays. So every single minor sign that we are, which has been predicted by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're seeing in our time right now. We find that zina, another one would be zina will become the norm. Zina is something which is widespread. So zina is something which is we're seeing now. But let's go take yourself back 50 years, 40 years. Let's take it back in the UK. In the UK, you will not find the same environment outside which was 50 years ago. 50 years ago, there was still a family set up. 50 years ago, everyone has to get married. There's still a marriage system. 50 years ago, you still have to ask the parents' permission to go and ask the daughter's hand in marriage. In England, in the UK, you still have to. This is about 50 years ago. It's changed completely on its head. So the word modesty, that's gone completely out the window. In this last generation, it's only one generation ago. One generation ago, you find zina. In the Sahaba's time, you find that zina was outrageous, completely outrageous, that you will find that zina will be something which is normal. You find very rarely somebody will do behind closed doors. Very rarely. But now, okay, behind closed doors is one thing. Now it's open. Now it's open and everyone's involved in it. Even in Jahiliyyah. Let's talk about Jahiliyyah. Before Islam came along. Before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the time in Mecca. In Jahiliyyah, they were still very respectful of women. They still wouldn't be zina on the streets. They weren't animals. They still had respect. Even before Islam came, they still had a lot of respect. Families with dignity and so forth. They still had a lot of respect regarding they won't be out doing what they need to do outside. Imam Bukhari mentions this hadith, very famous hadith regarding Hind. The story of Hind. Hind was the wife of Abu Sufyan. So Abu Sufyan was one of the biggest enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His wife was Hind. So what happened is at the time of Makkah, when they're conquering Makkah, Abu Sufyan is in Makkah, he's the leader of Makkah. His whole city is getting conquered by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So him and his wife Abu Sufyan and Hind reluctantly accepted Islam. They accepted Islam. Later on they became full Muslim, but they accepted Islam at that time. Everyone was accepting Islam. He accepted Islam as well. So she and Hind came to give bay'ah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone came to the Nabi of Allah to give bay'ah, a pledge of allegiance, that we are now underneath you and you are now our leader and we will follow your rules and so forth, pledge of allegiance. So even Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, when seeing Hind and Abu Sufyan coming, even he fell on the floor laughing, saying, what, you're coming here? The biggest enemy of Islam, and his wife is going to come here and take pledge of allegiance to the Nabi. He even fell down laughing. Even Umar radiallahu an, he fell down laughing like him. So, she came, and then Hind came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and regarding the pledge, so allegiance. Alright, these are the conditions. You must agree to this condition. And she had a go with every single condition. She had something to say back. She had some words to say back to them, and then so forth, and they were going back and forth. But at the end, she agreed to all of the kind of conditions and so forth. I'll say agreed to them. It wasn't really agreeing, but she had reluctantly, she said, and so forth, and she took the bay'ah. And she says that one of the conditions that was put across, was that the zina was there. He says that no zina outside of marriage. The condition was put to her, there shouldn't be no zina outside of marriage. This was the pledge of allegiance. Amongst these ones, the pledge was you can't do zina outside of marriage. She goes, why are you even asking me this question? She's actually shocked at this, because who actually does this? So even someone like Hind, even someone like the wife of Abu Sufyan, the enemy of Islam in the time of Jahiliyyah, says, what kind of question is this? Obviously I'm not going to do this. Obviously I wasn't doing it. So look her reaction, even though she's not Muslim, look at her reaction. But now when we look outside, one generation earlier, completely different. Now, past the 60s and 70s in the UK, was the whole changing. Now you find that it's completely, before that time, in the 50s and the 40s, people used to be very respectful. People used to be in a certain way where they didn't do stuff out in the open. Nothing was out in the open and zina and so forth. Now you find is kullam kula, it's open and everyone can do what they want. Hind. So her name was Hind. Hind. What does Hind mean? Hind means what? A person from India, isn't it? Hindustan. India. So why was she called Hind? She's Arab. Why would you name, for example, the father came and she has a daughter. Why would you name Hind? Your daughter Hind. At that time, the Arabs, they actually thought that India was like an exotic and beautiful place. Or it means something which is exotic and something which is beautiful. So I'm going to call my daughter Hind because it's exotic. So example, an exotic place in the world, somewhere in exotic, you will name them after that place. Let me say Seychelles, okay? So something nice and exotic, an island or something like that. So you call your daughter because you think, oh, it's beautiful and it's exotic and so forth. So here the Arabs actually thought that people from India and so forth, exotic lands, beautiful lands and so forth. So she was also named Hind because of that reason, because of the beauty and so forth. So that's why she was called Hind. That's why. So this is Arabs thinking, it's almost the opposite now. But now, this is what people used to feel it back in the days. So modesty, I'm talking about regarding modesty. So modesty, completely gone nowadays. Now you find that even women 100 years ago, in this country, even women 100 years ago, they used to wear hijab. They used to cover, they used to wear a scarf. You find sometimes an old white lady, she'll have a scarf on. She'll have a small little scarf on and then go to church. They'll even do this. And even find that their hijab is better than the hijab you see nowadays. You find their hijab 100 years ago is better than the hijab sometimes you find some Muslim ladies are doing now as well. So you find this as well. But modesty is completely gone and it's completely changed. And this is why you find that one generation ago, you find that the people at that time, if you're asking them before marriage, were they virgins or not? You find that 70 to about 90% of people were still, haven't had it, I haven't done it. 10%, about 80, 90% have not done it. And then now you find the generation nowadays, this generation, where you go to uni students and you ask them, about 80 to 90% have done it. So this is something which is complete opposite. This is what we're living now in this kind of era. This is the prediction of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the prophecy. Imagine him 1400 years ago. Now we're seeing it in our own lifetime. This is the wonderful and beautiful predictions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Evils will spread, zina will spread and so forth. And this is why everything has happened. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that a time will come where copulation will occur like donkeys do. Like how donkeys go out on the streets, and this is how it will happen, and this is what we're seeing nowadays as well. And even one person will say to this person, when he's making zina on the street or going outside and zina there, he will say, can you not get a private place to go and make your zina? And that man will be deemed righteous. Just because he said this, he'll be, oh, this is a righteous person and so forth. So this is something which is to be very wary of, and something that we find so many times. So this is something we find that the prediction of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, zina, you find the evil of spreading trustworthiness, you find that different things are happening now, evil, war, arguments, all of these things are now becoming rife and more and more and more. And this is the predictions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is something to really be aware of, because we're seeing it in this generation. If you were to say that 2 generations ago, this is there, even they will like frown at you saying, nah, this prediction hasn't happened yet. Now we're seeing it right now, in front of our own eyes we're seeing this. And probably the next generation might be even worse. And they might say, do you know what, this is our generation. So this is something to be really wary of, that look at the times we're going into. Look what the times we're getting into, and our children are going to be growing up in this. So how do we create an environment which is something of better? We need to fix ourselves to make ourselves full of iman, and our children full of iman, so they realize what's right and wrong, and they can make a difference between good choices and bad choices. Halal and haram, we choose the halal choice and so forth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us real protection from all the different fitnas that are going to come in the future, and the fitna was going to happen now. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and for guidance. We'll make a dua inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar. Allahumma Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. Allahumma Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yun waj'alna lil-muttaqina imama. Allahumma hasibna hisaban yasira. Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Ya Allah, protect our progeny. Ya Allah, protect our progeny from all the different fitnas. Ya Allah, protect our households. Ya Allah, protect our masjids and masajid from any type of evil and shar. Ya Allah, all the evil and shar that which is out there. Ya Allah, protect us from the inner shar, the outer shar, and any type of shar which is happening in the past or which is going to have coming in the future. Ya Allah, protect us fully. Ya Allah, clean our hearts. Ya Allah, make it full of iman. Fill up our own hearts and our children's hearts and our progeny's hearts. Ya Allah, make it such that we create an environment, Ya Allah, to live which is an Islamic environment, which is a safe environment, which is a peaceful environment, not only here but around the world as well. Ya Allah, make it such that the justice of Islam spreads throughout the whole world and corruption is completely become batil. Ya Allah, make it such that now whatever we are doing, especially in this Ramadan, Ya Allah, make it such which is a means of our forgiveness, our guidance, our acceptance in all of our deeds. Ya Allah, accept all of our fasting and our du'as. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanallah bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ameen. Inshallah, if everyone can make their way toward the tent, inshallah, at the back.